Okay, we're going to call to order the Technology Subcommittee meeting. Can you please call the roll?
Mr. Agnew?
Here.
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Ms. Larrabee? Here.
Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. I understand there's no citizen input
No, there isn't.
tonight, so we'll proceed to the first discussion item, a vote to refer the following replacement devices.
Okay, good evening, everyone. What I did, if you want to take a look at the screen, you also have the packet. I tried to just summarize some key points when we talk about these hardware replacements. As a district, with the support of the school committee, over the last 18 months, we've been able to outfit every classroom with a Promethean board. We've updated network infrastructure, security infrastructure, building access infrastructure. Now we're getting to the point where our devices are starting to see the end of usage for a number of reasons. I sent out a Chromebook RFP earlier this winter. Number is there for your access, as well as you have the RFP in front of you. This would replace the current middle school Chromebooks. Currently, they're the Vils devices. They're the Samsung devices. They were at end of life starting last year. They are now also going to be at the end of this year out of the warranty process through Vils. So moving forward, any warranty after this school year, any repair would be on for the public schools. Also, Google does a life of device. It used to be 5 years. They've kind of shortened it to 4 years now because everything's changing so quickly. So as we start to talk about these Chromebooks as we move forward, I'd like to try to start implementing a life cycle replacement. I've worked with Mr. Almeida and with Superintendent. We've talked about how we'd like to do this. I'd like to start at the middle school next year where we replace the middle school devices. The devices will be our devices. They will all allow us to take the SIM card that is in current device and pop it into the new device, because we'll still have that 1 year left of the mobile data. So that will just pop right in. This RFP also encompasses something that I've learned as a new CIO with the influx of Chromebooks is we need to protect them better. They're kids. So this also includes 3,000 gumdrop cases, and we'll talk about this again, but these are the gumdrop cases. This is more of a kind of entry level, and then this is the Cadillac rubber bumpers. You can take this, the kid can drop it. This protects the screen. This also actually increases our warranty on the device. Gumdrop will say, if a device breaks in this, we'll replace it for you, because their research and development team, they make these for kids. So we can pass these around if you want to see it. We're going with this model, the rubber bumper model. The other thing that's nice about this too is it protects the outside of the device, no scratches, no dings, no any of that stuff. So it's just going to allow us to 5 years keep that device well. The current devices, if this is going to be referred to committee and approved, will be pulled at the end of the school year, and then what will happen is our tech team will go out building by building, and they will swap out the device, SIM card, have it ready for redeployment in the school year. Also, the one thing that we've seen internally is chargers. They go quickly. They break, they blow out, they get lost. I've included into this 1,000 spare chargers to be dispersed evenly through our middle schools, so that we have spare chargers. Now, the other piece that we see in the Vils program are spare devices. I've had conversations with you, maybe there are not enough spare devices because of the way that they're repaired at the warranty depot. What this allows us now is every student has a new device. We're going to take out of service all the Samsung devices. They're not worth keeping in service. But you'll see in the next couple of slides, we have plans where we're going to actually take devices from other buildings. We're going to create those as spares. There's a pretty intensive plan for this summer. So now every middle school will have between 100 and 300 spares on hand that can be used in an emergency, can be used if a device has to be replaced. However, the warranty process is in our office now. So Dell sends us parts, our techs replace parts day of breakage. Every building replaces parts day of breakage, which in turn, turnaround time to get the student their original device back is less than a school day. okay? Our techs have taken the classes. The Dell devices are nice because they're hot swappable pieces, so if a board goes, pops right out, you put the new one in. They've been instrumental in getting the turnaround. The elementary schools, the turnaround has been so much quicker, we're doing it internally. So if this goes to full committee and is approved, our next round of replacement devices is gonna be the high school. High school will be at 4 years. Those are the devices that are used in and out the most in the district, the older kids. So what will happen there is I'll come back to the committee at this time next year, recommend replacement of the high school devices. However, we will not sunset those devices. We'll pull them back, we'll pull out parts that we need, and then we'll have more spares that we can use in the district. I will say I'm going to move as a district to the Dell devices because of the ease of use as far as replacement parts. The high school currently has a mixture because when we opened up the high school, we were trying to get Chromebooks just like everyone else during COVID. So we'll sunset those devices. This would be an ESSER fund purchase. Total cost is right there at the bottom of the screen, just a little over $1 million. Again, 3,000 Chromebooks, 3,000 cases, 3,000 spare chargers, and the warranty depot, but on site with our techs. That's the first piece. I can answer questions by individual ones if you'd like. We can go through each one, or I can give you everything at once and we can talk at the end.
Let me just do each one.
Okay.
Any questions on this?
How many replacements now for the middle schools?
In each building?
Yeah.
So we're having a hard time keeping up. We send roughly 80 to 100 every week, and then we take back broken ones and try to do some of the repairs in-house. The biggest holdup with the Samsung devices right now is they use a proprietary battery for the motherboard. You can't get them. I've actually tried to use a number of different vendors to get them ourselves, knowing that we're gonna, void the warranty opening it ourselves, but I have 3 months left on the warranty just to get us there. So we've stopped doing that and we've started putting in just regular devices. So if Johnny breaks his laptop, we're not sending it to Samsung because they're charging us to look at it now because we're at the tail end and we're infusing our own devices. During MCAS season, every middle school has 2 MCAS carts that can be used in an emergency, and my team right now is working on sending another 150 repair devices to each middle school to get us through the testing with it.
So where will we be after we purchase these?
So after
for
we
each
purchase
building?
these, it'll be 1-to-1.
Yeah.
There'll be 150 brand new spares in each building.
Okay.
And then we'll
All right.
further put 200-300 as they're repaired back in the buildings. So the idea here is so that the building can circulate on their own. We'll work with the building tech and our department to keep circulating them out. However, we're gonna get to a point with the brand new devices that we should see 0 repairs for at least the first 8 months, unless it's accidental. There will be some system board failures, again, fixed right in-house, because we can do all that in-house now.
Right. So you just said accidental, this cover or thing, whatever it is,
It's just a
is going to
cell phone
prevent
system.
a lot of these things that have been going on, because a lot of it is damaged because they're dropping them and.
This is a 40-foot drop, so you can actually take, and I actually did it. I took an older Chromebook that we had in repair, and I went to the Pace building, the overhead, and I dropped it, and it protected the device. The only thing that this is not going to do is if someone accidentally leaves their pen in and enclose it and crack the screen. However, 9 out of my 11 techs all can replace a screen in-house. It's a 17-minute process. So instead of sending stuff out, we're at the point now internally where we can do this all in-house and make it that much quicker.
Within 24 hours.
We'll have it there. We can, in most
Within the
cases,
day.
it'll be within the hour. In most cases, if a student brings it into the middle school, every middle school tech knows how to do the device on their own. They can give them a loaner to use for the class and then have their device back before they go home.
So we get a warranty from both companies?
We'll get a warranty from both companies. So you get a 2-year bumper-to-bumper from Dell, and then this basically protects the device. So if something breaks, and I can say to the Gumdrop, hey, we broke a device, they're going to replace the device for us. This company Gumdrop is being used by many schools across the country.
That's all for me, Kev.
If somebody does put a pen in it and it breaks the screen, do they pay?
It depends on, you look at the student and if there's been a history of abuse. I'm a parent, so a lot of what happens now, and something that I can say, so these are new devices, but the old Chromebooks that we pull out, those screens work with the new device. So when we pull these Samsungs out, I'm gonna have 2,000, if they're all working, spare screens to use. So it's there's no cost to the district. So if there's a repeat offender, or if a kid takes it and purposely, mashes it down on the table, yes, we would go after them to repair. But I have a hard time if it was just an accident.
What does the data show?
The data shows that right now, we had 37 Chromebooks in the middle schools that were malicious damage. The rest have been age of use and just failure on the hardware itself, not by student. And it's real easy to tell.
But I'm saying, so they pay, is my point.
Yeah, so there have been 37 repairs at the high school, not the high school, I'm sorry, at the middle school that have been paid out, but they've been simple things like keys. There have been no destructions at the middle school level. We have, at the high school level, there's probably been about $1,800 collected from September to now, screen replacements, but it's been hand through the screen, and the kids have been great. They pay for it, or they put them on a payment plan because the screen is the most expensive piece, so they...
Yeah, the only reason why I say is that we for too long have just given away willy-nilly, and even though it might be an accident per se, but you need to know. You don't put a pen inside of the thing.
Correct.
You don't put your hand in and she's closing it so that now my finger's in it and it ruins the screen. So I feel like we should be charging those families for that, because that's not necessarily malicious in the way of breaking it, but it's being not careful with the device. So I just think that we're still not to the point where we need to be holding people accountable to, you owe it, you put your hand in it. And I work in a school, I know what that means. The kids' hands in it all the time, and it's hard. The younger they get, it's a little different and all that stuff, but you still gotta document it. There's no reason for me or any kid to put his hand inside of her Chromebook while she closes it.
Absolutely, and I will say at the middle school level, last year it was very difficult. We were seeing more of it, and this year it's really tailed right off. The building principals and the tech people in those buildings they've leveled that out. It's gotten much better. And even at the high school, for a bit there at the beginning of the season, it was like another broken screen, and now it's really leveled right off.
Yeah,
So we're moving in the right direction. Again, this is something that when COVID hit, we kind of jumped right in, and we didn't have standard procedures, operating practices. We're getting to that point now, so we're cleaning things up as we go.
Yeah, and we talked about it in the summer.
Correct.
So that at the start of the year, everybody in every school was told the same thing.
Mhm.
You break it, you pay.
Yep.
So to me, we shouldn't be just now saying, oh, well, we got new ones, so we'll have some extra spares, and you can't have it wishy-washy. It's got to be, this happens, you pay, you're responsible for it. And when you said before, I think you said 80 or 100 a day or whatever I don't know if those were mistaken numbers.
No, so right now, that battery piece with the Samsung Chromebooks and the bills, that's what's happening. We're losing between 75, 80 to 100 a day because the batteries, for some reason, it's almost like they were on the production line at the same time and the batteries are just going. And there's no rhyme or reason to it, but they're all at that point where...
But we only got 500-600 kids in a school.
I know.
So that means everybody in 1 week is losing. So we've turned over an entire school.
There have been buildings that 75% of the devices have already had new batteries in the last 3.5 months through the warranty repair process, yes.
Now, with them being under warranty, if the agreement is before, so do they have to get to the factory in order for the, you know what I mean?
Yes, so it has to get there before the end of the warranty. However, what we're doing right now is, in order to try to make sure everybody has devices, because we're trying to keep up, we're sending 50 out from a building, getting 50 spares there, because what happens is if you send them 100 at a time, it backlogs them and they can't keep up. We were using AGI for repairs, and AGI no longer will work with the Bill's program, so it goes directly to Samsung. So you guys know if you do something warranty with Samsung, it takes a while. So internally, we've been, okay, we're gonna send out this many, and we're gonna keep doing the spares. And we've been able to catch up. It was a little hairy there, I will say, before February vacation, but we finally got ourselves into a process where we know what we wanna do. And if I could find batteries, we would have, but my thought process on that is we have 4 months of school left, and I'm gonna have new devices in people's hands, and I can close that gap between now and the end of school with what we have.
But they still got to go and get repaired.
They still
If
they
it's
still
under
get
warranty, you
repaired.
got to get a new
They are
battery,
still
so you have
getting
better
repaired.
devices.
They are still getting repaired.
In the end,
Yep.
it's
It's
just
just time consuming on our end.
yeah. There's just a lot of moving parts on it. I
Yep.
think we're doing. To me, I think we're doing better, but we still got some ways to go with holding people
Absolutely.
accountable.
We can always work to create more efficient ways and processes, and we're getting there.
With the high school one next year, as you said now, why is it? Wait, is it just manpower?
No, I came to you guys with a lot of expenditures today, and I wanted to try to I didn't want to make it look like technology was coming in here for millions and millions of dollars. I mean, if it's the will of this committee for me to put that proposal forth for the full meeting, I can include that as well because they'll honor this pricing as well. And internally, our staff could do the middle schools and the high schools.
But would it be funded through the same?
Yes.
Next year, it'd be funded through the same
Yes.
thing. So like, as far as if we got all this money in this, sort of in the side, to me, more logic is to do them all. Like
And I'll do
and
that.
get a lower price, like a year from now, we're gonna have another price increase probably or whatever, but,
I'll add the high school into it, and then if there are any questions, when you report
maybe
out-
like just divide it into,
Yep,
like, so
I
we
can do
know
that.
which one's which, but if they're telling us we have X amount of millions of dollars to spend now or July or August or September or whatever, then I would say let's.
I think for us, that would be excellent because then everybody would be on the same playing field. Students would have the same device from 6th to 12th. We're actually also looking at, and if we do the new devices at the high school, when you come in as a freshman, you're gonna keep that device through 12th grade. We're gonna get into that model. I'm working with a bunch of tech directors from another district to go into that model because my thing is, if my daughter is taking care of her device as a freshman, she returns it in June, we clean everything out. She's not necessarily getting the device that she's kept in perfect condition in September. So now, if Abigail Cabral gets her device as a freshman, she's gonna keep it until her senior year. So that I think also will have some respect on the devices, the students respect their device knowing that that's gonna be their main source of learning through their 4 years of school. And we'll do the same thing as well on the middle school side. 6, we'll keep it all the way through 8, and then what we'll do is we'll clean them out after. 8th grade will always go to 6th and come through.
Now, would you collect them after each school year?
We're also toying with allowing the high school students to keep them moving forward. However, if the full committee allows us to replace those devices this year, we would do the swap out starting in September, and then they would keep their devices,
For 4 years?
For 4
and
years.
not collecting them in June?
not collecting them.
Giving them
Because-
back in September?
Correct. We have a way to track everything now. So we
Okay.
have software that can track the devices, and these students, it's just efficient for us as a district, for the student. It shows some source of ownership. You know, a lot of districts are moving to that and they're seeing success with it. I'd like to try it.
If we do that, I would recommend you come up with all the new policies on all that stuff so that we can know
Mhm.
the questions that we know we're gonna have that would be answered, because it's a little dangerous to send them home and then 300 kids swap over.
Absolutely.
Now you're coming to us saying we can't collect them, what do we do? All of that.
I'd also
jazz.
like to do, a lot of districts are doing, they have the tech team at meet and greet during the opening of school. So they have like a little 10-minute, this is how you take care of your Chromebook, this is we'd like to start doing more of that as well.
When you said you had to take the Samsung internet, I guess,
SIM card.
The SIM card
No.
will come right up.
my concern is that when that goes away, that goes away. So why are we even playing with that at this point?
We have one more year of the free data on top of, at the end of this school year.
Right, I
one
understand,
more
I'm
year.
saying, but why?
The ones
like-
we're getting doesn't have free data.
Correct, so like at some point, whether it's this year or next year, we're gonna lose the data.
Correct.
So the Samsung thing and the Verizon thing hasn't worked out, in my opinion, like it should have. It was not as seamless and all that stuff. So we're gonna end it at some point,
Yep.
because we can't afford
This
to give
time next
everybody
year.
free data.
This time next year.
So why would we worry about changing it? Maybe the idea is that we're doing all new stuff, and do we have to have
Well,
it?
we do because the grant was extended for that 1 year, the Bills grant, so we would have to put the chip into the new devices for the 1 year. And then at this time next year, when they turn off, it's not gonna matter, it can stay in the device, it's not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah, it just seems like we're prolonging, like fake.
I
Like we're not
agree.
gonna go, the year after, the parents are gonna say, well, I had it for free for 3 years, now I don't have it for free. We're gonna have to answer that question.
If it's the
Well,
will
it
of the
was part of the
committee,
grant.
it was part of the grant, but if it's the will of the committee, we can look at if we decided to pull out on the free data for the remaining year. But I just think if we're getting it for free, we put the cards in and just, the kids that use it may use
I do
it.
some research and send it to
Yep,
us,
I
just
will.
so curious, so we know
No
what
problem.
the pros and cons of it would be. Any other questions on this part?
No.
Next.
Okay, so the next piece would be replacement teacher devices. And this one for me is kind of a no-brainer. During COVID, we tried to get whatever device we could in teachers' hands. They were working from home, they were working at school. Again, supply chain, I would go to Kevin and say, we can get 200 of these, so we would do one school. I can get 50 of these, we would do a smaller school. I have devices that are all over creation right now in all of the schools. The only school that has the same device is the high school, And that high school device, when we did the building project, is already obsolete, right?
What do you
Because
mean the same device?
they have the same Windows laptop. So right now, across the district, everywhere else are using a combination of either older Windows laptops that are older operating systems, security flaw for me, and they're using Chromebooks, which we've now found out 3 years after COVID, that a Chromebook is not the device for a teacher because it doesn't have the power to do what a teacher needs to do. Last year, the committee approved replacing all of the administrator laptops. That rollout has been completed. This would be the new teacher device. So from K to 12, everyone would now be on the same device. In this price also is next day guaranteed depot repair. So on top of our techs being able to do the minor repairs, anything major, we have our own dedicated HP person, okay? And they come in and they fix for us for that time. We're also building in a percentage of spares. So if you're a teacher and your device just dies and we can't fix it, here you go. We take the hard drive out, your data is there, you're back to teaching. Someone's gonna ask, we're moving to the Dell Chromebooks because it's a better Chromebook for the student, but we're moving to HP for Windows devices because their security and their background is just so much better. The HP Windows device, in my opinion, my professional opinion, blows the Dell device out of the water. So that's why we're going with this. And it's time for a teacher to feel like they're appreciated with their technology. If you see, this looks like a MacBook. It feels like a MacBook. Battery lasts 10 hours. It doesn't have to be charged. It takes one simple USB-C cable to connect it to their Promethean board, so this cable can stay there, but it also allows them to wirelessly connect to this device. Their devices now do not allow that. I have 4 or 5 different connection types to these boards. So now we standardize everything. It's going to make PD easier. It's going to make teachers being able to share, ideas on how to use their devices easier. And it's just, I can pass it around. It's just such a more robust device. If you want to see it, I can pass it over. So that's what we're looking for there. Again, this will be another ESSER purchase. These devices should last us 7 years. They're that type of device. So they're like a Cadillac. The teachers are used to using a Corolla right now, so this is going to increase efficiency and productivity. Well,
So now that we have tech support that entire 7 years, as far as
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, so my staff has trained in Dell replacement and the HP Windows side. The other piece about this is the security side. It's the updated Windows 11. We can get rid of all the Windows 7 stuff that's on our network right now that could be a vulnerability.
What is the policy on repair? Same thing as the kids, like the kids can't break it. We also have staff that they shouldn't break it or they're responsible.
We've had 2 staff members over the course of this year that have broken it. One was an accident in the classroom that we did not charge. I investigated that one myself, and one teacher accidentally left the device on her roof and drove off, and she paid to replace it.
Whatever that device is. So this would be like, there's a policy of some
Correct.
type.
Correct.
When we issue a new one that
And just
says it costs X amount of dollars if you break it, just like we do for the kids.
yes. So the superintendent asked me to look at our current policies. There's going to be some wording changes at the next policy subcommittee meeting to align those policies and procedures with all of this that we're talking about tonight.
And is there anything of value to what they are currently using, or you just?
So what we've talked about in the past with the old Chromebooks, we send them to that company AGI. They Frankenstein them out. They give us money for replacement parts. We actually are going to use a company called EDU Parts. And what we'll do there is same thing. They'll take our old devices, they'll go through them, and they'll give us between an A grade or an F grade. The money changes a little bit, and it will go into their account, and we can get replacement parts, anything, power, screens, the whole 9 yards. That will build up, because for the first 3 years I won't need it, but in year 4, then I'll have that money from these older devices to start turning around repairs.
Any other questions?
No.
Next one.
Okay, so the next one we have is Chrome case purchases. Same case we did in Emergency Connectivity Fund Round 3. We were able to receive 2,500 Chromebooks. Those are on their way. Those are going to be used to start swapping out elementary school Chromebooks that are at the end of life. So my thought process here was Emergency Connectivity Fund would only fund the actual device and the power. I want to make sure now that we're doing this at the middle and hopefully the high school level, if approved, that everything has the same case so that we're protecting our devices from K to 12. So this is just to allow me to purchase 2,500 cases for the devices that we'll be getting in early spring from the Emergency Connectivity Fund. And the Emergency Connectivity Fund, there's no cost to us. It's 2,500 Chromebooks, free and clear. And I'll talk more about that in one of the next lines.
Right.
Any questions?
No?
Next.
High school engineering lab. Currently at the high school, we have 2 engineering labs. State of the art as far as infrastructure. However, when we moved over, there was no funding in the project to replace computers. However, at the time, the computers were only 2.5 years old. So they were doing what they should have done for the time. They're now Windows 7, they're slow, and the students are kind of falling behind as far as being state of the art. This is going to allow us to put the 2 labs, state of the art, dual monitors. We've worked with the CVTE director. Over at February vacation, our internal team added drops, so that way now when a student hits print to a 3D printer, it doesn't take 4 hours to spool that whole thing. It'll be real time. So this is just basically for, I believe it's 57 machines, 2 teachers, the labs, and the monitors. And that will bring that area up to 2023 and beyond.
So why haven't we had this?
When we opened the building,
Yeah.
those devices were at the time state of the art. However, the current CVTE director has changed the programs. We have new staff members, they're using different programs, and it's choking the machines. They're just not meant for today's
Right.
standards. So this will bring us right up into today's standards.
Okay.
Okay. And you're gonna see, these are HP devices. It's either HP or Dell. We're gonna move forward as a district. Dell is gonna be our Chromebook, and HP is gonna be our Windows-based platform.
My only concern is that the wiring wasn't done when we just built a new building. We didn't know that there needed to be different wiring.
So, doing some research, when we sat down in the planning phase, the former director of CVETE was asked to review all of the spaces and for what he was going to use the spaces for at that time, 4 years before the project hit the ground. These labs weren't going to be used like that. When they were doing the research phase, I was not in this, this position. They were pushing more of, we're going to be wireless. It's going to be 2024-ish when we open the building. Wireless would be the thing. However, what we're seeing with these 3D printers, and Mr. Farias could talk about it, the file is so large, even with having 2 access points in the classroom, it just chokes out the network. So it was more appropriate to bring them wired. It's something that I asked Mr. Pacheco to help with, and he did. His team did an amazing job with it. Now it's going to be push the button, printer receives the job. It's not going to be like we had with this lag.
So we were never going to have 3D printers in the engineering lab?
There were 3D printers, however, they weren't part of my scope as the director of network infrastructure at that point. They were purchased with the school, and then when the new CVTE director came in, said this is how we're going to do things, and then we got kind of tied up because we didn't have that infrastructure, so we've been doing it wirelessly. However, she's amazing, and she found a way to dump it to a USB stick and bring it over to the printer. But we're in 2023, and if
Shouldn't have to put it on.
they're going to go into
yeah,
the real
yeah.
world, and they're going to work in 3D printing. We want to emulate what the students are going to see when they go into the,
You said there wasn't money in it. What does that mean?
So as part of this, and again, I wasn't part of that piece, the current director at that time, he had just purchased those computers. They were only 18 months old, so he wanted to use those, and then they used that money elsewhere, and I didn't have access to that. So that's where I, as the new CIO, I'm seeing the need, working with the current director, and this was the immediate need to get us to 2023, so that's why I'm bringing it to you.
Yeah, to me, it just defies logic that a brand new school, we don't have the up-to-date wiring with the most current technology.
Well, again,
I don't care whose fault it was.
Well, that's not even a fault. Those rooms weren't going to be used for that type of lab. They were going to use more for a makerspace type of lab, and then it kind of morphed into, no, this is where we're going with the engineering program, because the makerspace, you really don't
So
need
where
trucks.
in the building somewhere else is overwired?
No, it's just that those labs, those became computer labs after the fact. They were going to become kind of the makerspace, right?
Yes.
So we wouldn't have used drops in those areas.
So
you're
we
like-
had, it just, I don't want to get down into the nitty gritty here, but we have engineering program that obviously we know, anybody that's paying attention to it would know that it's moving, the technology's moving fast, whatever. We better have the most up-to-date, upgraded wiring. we don't have it in that room. So when you told me that it was coming in the middle of the year, we gotta rush this thing through to get the wires, it defied logic to me then, and it still defies now, why that wasn't done beforehand for any kind of room that had the wiring. Like, we actually had our people go, I haven't seen it, but they had to go and run wires into the building already, you know?
No, it was from the network closet, which is right outside that area, into the classrooms. And again, this is me trying to fix things moving forward. I wasn't part of that process, and I can't speak to the former director in that area. This is trying to write the program to help the students.
Yeah, I hear you. Can you get a copy to the committee of what it would have cost to do this?
Yep, the wiring,
Yeah, because obviously our internal people must have saved us
they say those.
some money. I'd like to just get a report on it.
Sure.
Next.
All right, so next is nutrition register replacements. So I've been in the district 20 plus years. In my former lives as different positions, we've replaced the registers once. It's dire need now, right? Windows 7 devices, the nutrition department needs to be brought up as well. This is going to be a little bit of a different device. After some research with Whitson's and some other area districts, we're going to go with a Surface tablet that goes into a dock, because it allows them to actually take the device when they're doing breakfast in the classrooms and track the breakfast, and then drop it back into the device, and it's a full register. What happens is we reuse the old register cash drawer itself, and we replace the brains of the operation. All of the work will be done internally. Our team, the network development team, will download NutriKids, get everything into there. This is something that we're not going to wait until September. As soon as the devices come in, we're going to roll them out. It's a seamless thing. You pull the old one out, you put the new one in. We have 2 of them right now that we have replaced in other buildings because it was an emergency need, and the lunch ladies can't speak enough of how much easier it is for them to use. It's all touchscreen, so they're not using
So
the
they're
mouse
using
anymore.
their-
There are 2 buildings that are
2
using them,
buildings.
and they love it. So this would be for 34 registers across the district. It's going to allow me 3 spares, something that we don't have now. So if a register goes down, Mr. Cutting calls in a panic because we need to get them back up and running. So we'll have 3 spares. This one here, total cost is just under $55,000 for the registers.
And this paid for the nutrition account, it's not
Correct.
the budget. Do they still have the IDs that are like allowed to?
Yes, so the barcode scanner. So what'll happen here is the lunch lady's not gonna have to go back to the device and put it back together every time. As you can see on the picture, what basically they do is they slide this out and it slides right back in. The barcode scanner and all of the peripherals plug into this base unit down here. They don't touch that piece. It actually has a cover, they don't touch it. If they go to a classroom they pull it out, they put it back in, and actually this company, when I purchased the 2500 for the, they're actually giving me 34 cases for this device for nothing as part
Comes
of
with
it.
them.
Yep.
Any questions? All right, we entertain a motion to refer all of these items to the full committee, including the update on the high school. So made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Next up, 3.02.
Okay, so when COVID started, the federal government came out with something called the Emergency Connectivity Fund, and I at the time was still in my role as the Director of Network Infrastructure. However, we had the immediate need for Chromebooks, and we had the immediate need for Chrome bases in some of the buildings. So I went ahead and we were approved for it. However, Mr. Almeida is here and he will say the first round was very messy because the federal government didn't understand how they were going to roll the project out, but the vendors also didn't as well. There are 2 reimbursement pieces. There's the Bear piece and Spin. This went through Bear, so it took the company, HubTech, over a year and a half to be paid. However, they had changed round 1. It didn't really discuss it with the districts, and our E-rate consultant will say the same thing. It was a very difficult piece. In retrospect, round 3, I applied for 2,500 Chromebooks. They're on their way. The vendor's already been paid. We didn't have to do a thing. What happened here was they allotted 270 odd some odd thousand, and the remaining balance is on us for the 43,424. These devices have been in use now a little over 18 months. And this is our side of it because what they did is they changed their qualifications and the Chrome bases were not allowed to be part of it. However, the Chrome bases have been an instrumental piece in our schools, basically the high school, and we have a number of labs across the city that are using them. So we have on our piece, we owe $43,424. So I just need permission to pay that out of our side. And again, just knowing this has only come to light in the last 3 months. I was hoping to get this done a little bit sooner at last school committee. However, the vendors were excellent with us because they were blindsided by the process as well. So I would just need approval.
What
to
is the
send
Chrome
this.
base, like you're saying? Is
So
that
it's
like
the, it's
a docking station or?
no, it's actually a flat screen, all-in-one computer that's on a base. So they call it a Chrome base. It's basically a giant Chromebook that we use in the labs. So it's like a standalone computer, touch screen, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Any other questions on this?
No.
What happened to round 2? Was that,
Round 2, we did, that was the hotspots at the time that we were using. That was already taken care of. That was the same thing.
so we don't
spin.
owe anything for
We
round 2?
don't,
This is
zero.
because you got 1 and 3.
Correct.
Motion to approve, to refer the
Motion to approve.
emergency committee, seconded. All in favor, aye. Opposed, so
Oh,
voted.
motion to refer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to refer.
So that's passed unanimous. 3.03.
So Swansea Public Schools, some of the other districts in the area, BCC, have taught us a lot about cybersecurity. Very challenging time. Sat down as soon as it happened, actually that night that it happened in Swansea, we were on our network watching things. I can say the biggest fear for cybersecurity now in a K-12 district is what's called a USB key drop. So basically a hacker takes a handful of USB keys and they walk into the north parking lot at Durfee and they throw them up in the air and they walk away. And those USB sticks are infected with malware, anything, right? We don't know. A teacher comes in and says, that looks like my teacher next door's, I'm gonna plug it in to see. And they plug it in and guess what happens? Our network is infected. We're okay as far as firewall right now. However, we weren't okay, and that's why we're gonna move to new teacher devices for that type of security. So our plan, our early plan is threefold. Antivirus software for all the new devices and servers. That's Bitdefender. I decided to go with Bitdefender because they will automatically update our devices when the device is home, anywhere, protect our devices.
Can I just say, like, just be careful what you say, as far as, like, we don't want to tell anybody
Yep.
what we're doing, so.
Well, no, this is all software based.
But we can see it and get it, just, you
Okay.
don't have to
All right.
get into too many details, but the bottom line is, you
We
need
need to
this
be
money to
secure.
be more secure
Correct.
than what we currently are.
Correct. Antivirus software for the devices. Then we have email filtering and security, which will live on our firewall device. And then this next one is light speed alert and analytics. I wanted to show you folks that. I will in a second. And then just to let you know, in the coming months before the end of this fiscal year, or possibly at the beginning of next fiscal year, we're going to come to the committee and look to replace our firewall appliance. Something that we haven't done in 4 years. We're going to have to do that. However, we're still researching possibilities, and I didn't want to rush into this at this meeting. We could come to the full committee just knowing that the subcommittee, and we're going to come to that in the coming months. I just wanted to show you all, this is the Lightspeed analytics piece. And as a district, we're learning, we never were able to give data as smooth as this product is going to allow. This product will track all of our digital platforms across the district. It will also, I apologize, it will also track all of our devices. This is also the piece that we've talked about in the past where we had Social Sentinel that would send an alert if someone was talking.
Put that's in there.
What is it?
You got school.
Oh, thank you. Fingers are tired today. It's been a long day of typing. This will also be the platform that replaces Social Sentinel. Because what Social Sentinel gives you that email alert, student is talking about suicide or hurting themselves or harming themselves. This product is it's tenfold from what we had. So just quickly, district overview. You can see number of devices, total registered users, we have 12,000. Active devices right now, 9,886. Total active not currently rostered, so that could be test devices. It breaks it down for us by total users, total devices being used by day. So I can go in here by day and we can say, well, why did it spike on a Wednesday at the high school and not on a Monday? Are people not bringing their devices? That's just on the device side. I can come back here and just show you. This will also give us cost of ownership, cost of life on anything application-wise. So we can come in here and I can pull on applications anywhere. This is a demo platform, just so you could see. So I can come in and say, how many people are using this app? How many people are using our digital platforms? We have Licensed applications, these are just two that we use in the technology department, but I can show you, and these are fake numbers for demo
Yeah,
purposes.
yep.
But it'll show you average cost of license, days of renewal, something we've never had in the district. All of our digital platforms are all over the place in all different teaching and learning, facilities, technology. This is gonna put them all in the same place. So now Mr. Almeida, when he builds his budget, can say, oh, we got this one to renew this year. It's just somewhere where we've never had passwords. We've never had any of that. If I decided to retire, this information is here for the person that takes over. It shows you your licenses. It shows you your cost per license. It shows you everything. This is something we've never been able to do, and we're in 2023 and we have to. So that's what this, I just wanted to give you a quick little brief overview. That's where we are with this piece.
And we own that already?
We do not own it. That would be, we own Lightspeed as far as relay for our Chromebook filtering and our MDM device. This would just be an add-on to that platform. Mr. Farias has been demoing it for the past 2.5 months, and he speaks nothing but like unbelievable praise of the
I'm
product.
saying you have it here now, so like this, you're looking to
We're looking to
take it
yes,
and
correct.
do it, not just keep talking
No,
about it.
yep, we want to pull a trigger.
Excellent.
Motion to vote to refer those 3 items.
Motion to refer.
So made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Anybody have anything on the new business? I had a question on Power School. I was looking at, I don't know where it went, but somewhere in one of the documents that you had was about the special ed. You know, I've been all over the, like, how much money they keep charging us and whatever, like, and the rationale for doing it. Do we have anything related to anything that extra that we require? Like, my feeling is that they didn't do what they said they were gonna do. So now if they tell us, no, in order to do that, it's gonna cost us more money. Is there any issues going on? Like, what is the issue going forward as far as,
Okay.
like, should I just be frustrated
No.
every
So-
year or every meeting, or?
So we're at the point now in the project where we're gonna start talking about certain customizations, because now we're getting the bugs out. I will say, everybody here has talked about some of the outages that we've had. Power School has found out that our district and a couple of others in Massachusetts were on a failing server farm. They actually took us from a Windows operating system to a Linux, which in my geek speak, that's phenomenal because it's so much more stable. And knock on wood, we have not gone down since they've done that upgrade. Usually, they would charge for that. They did not charge for that because of our frustration. The superintendent and I met with them.
Well, I mean,
They did not,
Yeah.
they're working with us. They're extending the olive branch. Members of the team are coming down every 2 weeks and meeting with us internally so we can talk through some of these processes. I will say, there may be some minor reports that we want to start to do with the program that we may be looking to spend some money on, but once we buy the report, we own the report. There's one that's possibly going to come out in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Breakfast sheets, all the buildings use them, they scan the barcode, they do the breakfast and all that. We don't have a way to do that in Power School right now. That one probably $4,800, $4,900 for them to implement the report. It's like 20 plus hours that would be paid out of nutrition because it's a breakfast report. But we're getting to the point now where we may do some discipline reports, we may do some attendance reports. And I won't have, numbers on that. However, we've just added our new member to the team and we have our own reporting software, so we're starting to work on our own internal reports. So we may not come to the committee and say, I need this report. We're gonna come to them for the breakfast report, because that one's a definite need. And I also am looking at a transportation report. That's something that we probably can't build internally. But moving forward, all of the attendance and stuff, we're probably gonna be able to build that internally. But we're at that point now where we're gonna start to tweak the general shell of Power School. It's not gonna cost hundreds of thousands, but I may come to the committee and say we need $8,000 or $9,000 to do this. But I'm going to try to do it in a way where I come to you all at once for next school year and itemize those plans. And if people don't want to approve certain ones, or we don't like the number of certain ones, we can hold off and we can work on them internally.
Yeah, I think one of the arguments for what we used to use was that it was reasonable. And when I worked in this district, I had personally asked for certain things to be customized to have me do my job easier, and all the other vice principals. And that was done at a reasonable cost. And in some memo that you sent to us about the special ed one, is that we might need customizations. When I asked those questions at the time, the Power School guys were like, we'll work with you, like almost like it's no big deal.
There were no
And I
extra
don't
charges
have-
there.
They would say, like, it's no big deal, it's gonna be minor, you're saying a couple $100, a couple $1,000. I would love to feel confident that that was gonna stay the case. But I have no confidence that they're gonna do that for short money. So my only thought in bringing this up is that right now, I'm not happy with the way it's going. And if there's a timing to squeeze them, the time is now. And I'm not confident that we made the right decision. Just speak for myself. But as we go forward and look, and you say, well, if we need X, Y, and Z, and it's gonna cost us whatever your numbers are, or estimates, and I hope it doesn't shock us or shock you. So
I as well hope the same.
But as soon as you know, please let us,
I will.
as soon as you get any things like that.
Yep.
The last item is a motion to go into executive session, and the purposes of to discuss the deployment of security personnel with devices, strategies with respect thereto, Mass General Law 30A, Section 21A4. I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session. So made, seconded, all in favor? Aye, opposed, so voted. You can please shut the camera down, we'll go in executive session. Okay, we're going to have a motion to adjourn. Motion made and seconded, roll call.
Mr. Agia?
Here.
Mr. Bailey? Here. Mrs. Larrabee?
Here.
Any other business before the subcommittee? No. Motion to adjourn, made by Ms. Larrabee, seconded by Mr. Bailey, all in favor? Aye, opposed, so voted. Thank you all for your presentations, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.